Live from our studios here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, with a beautiful view of Pikes Peak, it's the Reignition Radio Program. With Mike Phillips, sponsored by Lead the Team. Mike's expertise in business consulting, professional management training, sales training, and team building has earned him the title of Mr. Genius. Okay, just kidding. We made that up. Yes! Tonight's gonna be a good night, and here he is to get you fired up and reignited. Our host, Mike Phillips.
Yes, boys and girls, here we go. Tonight is going to be a good night. It is another cold as heck Wednesday evening here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I don't know what the temperatures are. It's like minus 20, minus 28, all kinds of stuff, and so I'm sitting here. I got my space heater, and it's been a beautiful few days. It's just been extremely cold, so I am really, really excited for this evening. I'm super excited that I have Guy Harris joining me tonight. I'm going to have him on shortly. I want to make sure that for anybody that wants, you can always make sure and join us at leadtheteam.net. And I'm on Facebook. You can just search leadtheteam.llc there. You can look at Twitter, Lead the Team. And you can always email me to Mike at leadtheteam.net. Now, generally, I do invite people to participate in the conversation. For this evening, though, I think it's going to be mostly Guy and I, and the number is 347-826-7457. If you have something great, you can always, shoot me a text or send me a message in the chat room, and if there's something to add there, we can certainly add into tonight's show. So, like I said, joining me this evening, I've got Guy Harris, who's co-author of the book From Bud to Boss. And so, Guy, are you there?
I'm here, Mike.
All right. So, welcome to the show. Welcome to Reignition with me and Lead the Team. So, like I said, I'm super excited. Oh man, I even had it set up. Hold on, we may have to do this over, Guy. So, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. There are millions of people here into the studio waiting to hear from you. So, welcome here to the show this evening. I am really excited, and I'm sure you're really excited about the book coming up. I got an advance copy from, it was either Becky, I think it was Becky that I got an advance copy of it from, and she was just saying, she forwarded it on to me. I had an opportunity to take a look at it, and just I'm really, really impressed so far with what I've read in the book. So, again, thanks for taking the time to join me this evening. And I know I want to make sure that you get an opportunity, too, to talk about. I know that one of the things that I've read, and I actually found kind of funny, I was watching some of your YouTube stuff, you are the recovering engineer.
That is me. I am the recovering engineer. That's right.
So tell me a little about that.
Well, the story behind that is that I started my adult life going to college and studying chemical engineering. Then I went in the Navy and studied nuclear engineering and served as a submarine officer, and left the Navy, went into industry, and wasn't through with the engineering thing, got a master's degree in chemical engineering, and along the path, I kept being in leadership positions everywhere I went, starting in the Navy and on into industry. And then what I realized is that there were certain things that I had learned as an engineer that weren't really serving me well as a leader. It's this whole working with people thing, and
yeah. I was gonna say engineers are not the ones that are at the center of attention when it comes to people in relationships.
Typically not. Yeah, that's the kind of, at least the stereotype. And I just realized that this whole working with people thing is a whole different drill than starting up a reactor plant or fixing a pump or energizing a switchboard or technical things that I have been trained in. And so right. I just started learning I started practicing and learning and developing skills so that I could get better at it, and it turned into a career.
And here we are.
And here we are. That's right.
So again, as we're getting started here, I want to make sure for anybody that wants to check out some of Guy's work, at least the blog anyway. Obviously, you've got the upcoming book. I know
right.
You've done speaking engagements. He is online at therecoverengengineer.com, correct?
Yep. It's just straight recovering engineer. Recoverengengineer.com.
Okay. So recoveringengineer.com, and I know you're on Twitter and you're all over the place. You're an online guy like I am. So
that's correct, right.
So as we're getting started through this, one of the cool things, and like I said, I've read through part of the book and not all of it. The one thing I lose is on the computer screen, and I just have a digital format. So I'm really excited. Right. If Becky or Katie are listening, I am really excited to get my hard copy. But it is awesome. Here are the things that I've seen so far as I've started to read through it. Is it's practical and it's real. I mean, you guys did not write this. You and Kevin collaborated on this, correct?
Right, that's
Kevin
correct.
Eichenberry?
Kevin Eichenberry. Mm-hmm.
So the cool thing is you guys didn't write this, but obviously, at least in my opinion, because like you, I've been in leadership positions and I coach it and I spend time with salesmen. I'm in a people environment rather than a stuff environment. And you clearly did not write this book from the standpoint of, well, if we do this, it'll make people feel really good, and then they'll go out and they'll buy our book, and we're going to get all these ratings. You clearly didn't write it from that standpoint. It looks, to me, you wrote it, it's really practical, it's useful, it's real. It will probably still connect with most people because it's real, but at the same time, you're going to have people that do read parts of it and go, well, that's never going to work.
Yeah, we get that response sometimes in our workshops. And then typically the feedback comes, oh, that really does work. So,
right, absolutely, and like I said, I've been there with you. One of the other unique things, here's what I thought was cool: the way you have the book broken down for somebody like me, and the chapters along the way, they're like 4-page chapters. That's part of the thing where the lessons are so real and practical that it's like, hey, I can put this to use because I don't have to remember. There are sometimes you get leadership or sales training books. And that's the other thing that's really cool about this particular book. And then obviously I have actually an interview to conduct here, but I'm raving on about the book, which is okay.
That's okay.
The thing that's cool about it is it is really like a practical workbook for somebody that is transitioning into that position.
Well, and that was really the intent. When Kevin and I sat down to started laying out the scope of the book and the outline, those kind of things, a couple of things we knew right away is, one, having been there, and two, from our coaching and training work, we just know that people who are moving into a leadership position for the first time may never have really focused on developing leadership skills prior to this. And many of them have been very good at being the doer of things as opposed to the person who is responsible for other people doing things. So they're really good at their task and all that kind of thing, not necessarily focused on reading a lot of leadership books. And so we decided it's got to be to the point, short chapters, easy to read, actionable content all the way. And that was our design right from the start.
Well, and like I said, from my experience, I have not completed it. I've read through quite a bit of it, and I think you nailed it. And that's just one guy's opinion. I would say you absolutely nailed it with the book. So
that's good feedback. Thanks.
Absolutely. So let me get your take on a few things. And we've got, let's see, about a little over 20 minutes. So, and obviously you and I will be able to fill that.
I think we'll be all right.
So here's one of the first questions that I have for you, because I'm really curious of your take. Is it possible for anyone in general to develop leadership skills?
Actually, I believe it is possible. And the key word, and even in the question, the key word is skill. And so I make a distinction between skill and talent. And all kinds of studies, there have been books written, evaluations done, and the person who's willing to work hard to learn something will almost always beat somebody who just has a natural talent but doesn't work at it. So the idea being that if leadership skills are skills, things you can do, behaviors, actions, ways of thinking about interacting with people, then anybody can develop them if they're willing to put in the effort to do it.
And that I would agree with you, and I think there the big key word in that tail end of it there is effort.
Effort, it's not easy. It's effort.
No, and it's gonna depend on those on people too. There are people that have an aptitude for it that
absolutely true.
It comes easier to them, and they say, well, why does this work? I don't know. I just do it, but they continue to work at it. hone it and develop it. At the same time, it's that there are people that don't have any sort of talent or skill set for it, but they so you're saying they can develop it, but it's going to take quite a bit more work for those people.
That's why I'm called the recovering engineer.
You're not there yet, right?
I didn't have a whole lot of aptitude to start with. It definitely is learned.
I actually, like I said, I watched a few minutes of one of your workshops, and I was really impressed. Actually, it made me smile because I thought, man, that's real life too. Some of the stuff watching you in action. So let me ask you. Here's another big one. When we're talking about, obviously, when somebody is getting promoted from within, and that's kind of the key to the book, from buddy, quote unquote, to boss, and then the titles from bud to boss, secrets to a successful transition to remarkable leadership. What are the biggest concerns or the struggles that people are facing in that transition? What would you say are the top couple of things, 2, 3, 4 things that they're facing in that transition?
The key things, I think people fall into, the struggles fall into 2 main categories. There's role transitions. So I used to be the person who had to get things done, and now I have to rely on other people to do it and have to supervise that. So there's a transition in role, transition in skill set attached to that role. And then one of the really sensitive ones are the relationship changes and how to navigate those. And there's several relationship changes. There's the relationship change with the people that you used to work with and now have to lead. There's relationship change with maybe people who are now at your peer level and used to be at a level of your boss. And then there's your boss who maybe is the same person who used to be your boss, but that may be the person who was 2 levels above you, and now you're transitioning that relationship too. So you've got all these things going on at the same time, and trying to learn a new skill set in terms of your role and managing all these relationship issues at the same time. And that's kind of the big buckets of the concerns and struggles people go through. Okay,
so you're saying the 2 biggest things, role transition
and
relationship transition.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about, and let me have you expand on it for a minute. When you're talking about role transition, you're saying, okay, I'm that guy that used to get stuff done.
Yep.
And you're transitioning from the guy that used to get stuff done. What are you turning into?
Yeah, you're turning into the person who doesn't necessarily do the stuff. You're just responsible for the stuff. And so that means you have to learn how to trust other people to do it and how to delegate and how to communicate your expectations and how to coach on performance and how to not do things so that other people can learn how to do them. To sit back and watch somebody even possibly make a mistake when you know a better way to do it. And all of these things are attached to changing in the role. Instead of being the technical expert, now you have to train, develop, coach, mentor, help people work through conflicts, and move into a different type of skill set that's not really about the technical aspects of the job anymore. And that transition can be very difficult for people because probably they got promoted because they were good at what they did. And so now it's hard to let go of what you're good at in order to learn something maybe you struggle with a little bit. And then that's where some of the concern and struggle comes in the role transition.
Man, that's one of the difficulties, too. When you think about, now, my background, obviously, is from the auto industry. And that's one of the keys in the auto industry. When you get, if you have somebody that is an absolute, they're like, man, this guy is a brilliant salesperson, so what we're going to do is we're going to make him a sales manager. And just because they're a good salesperson does not always mean they're going to be a good sales manager, because it definitely takes a different type of skill set. Plus, then you often leave that hole, there, and you're
exactly.
Yeah, you're having this person that may be totally unequipped, and like you're saying, and that's where something like what you're talking about, either in the workshops, the seminars, programs like this, or all kinds of different mentor and motivation programs. That's exactly what your book is about. Is okay. Well, how do I do that? Because that's something people we as a society, we don't teach that in school. We don't teach leadership skills.
True.
We don't teach what happens when you go from being the student to the teacher. So to speak.
Oh, good one, from student to teacher. Yeah, exactly the same issue. Is how do you make that change in the mindset and the skill set and the way you interact with people? It's pretty tricky.
You still there?
I'm here. Hello?
Hello. I cut out there for just a second. Guy, you still there? Sorry about that. Okay. Carry on, sir. Carry on.
Yeah, so that struggle of making that role change and the difference in mindset and skill set and the way you go about things is a really big struggle for people. And like you said, there's not often very much formal training in how to do it. Most training is on the technical side of things, not necessarily on the working with people side of things.
Absolutely. So and that kind of actually branches into one of the next questions I have for you. Obviously, when we're talking about changing relationships, and you're saying, okay, it's more than just the title changes. The emotional acceptance changes. The mentality. The mentality is going to change on both sides. It's going to change from your former peers. It's going to change for you as a new manager, leader, assistant manager, and I think you said it a minute ago that not only does that change, but it changes on the upward ladder also. That person who used to be this executive level boss, that's the guy that, in a sense, now he's in your peer group. Now that's the barbecue buddy. He's now
exactly.
so to speak. So when we're talking about the changing relationships, obviously it can be emotional to lose friends and peers. Does that have to change?
Well, my perspective is generally yes. One of the tips we make in the book, and we've got several things in the book. We call them remarkable principles. So little bite-sized nuggets to maybe summarize or introduce a key concept in the book. And then we have what we call bonus bites or extra content that people can get access to at a website we own, at a community website, Bud to Boss Community. But one of the principles we point to is that it's important to be friendly with the people you lead. We don't generally recommend that you focus your effort on being their friend. And the issue that's tied up there is, I'll go back to when I was in the Navy. So I'm like 22, 23, 24, moving into a leadership role. And I've been to college. Pretty much the only difference between me and the people that I'm leading is that I went to college first and they went straight in the Navy. We're basically the same age.
Okay.
So we show up on the boat, and now I'm their leader. And because I've just come from a college environment, what's very natural is to try to be friends with people. And the Navy has a very, very strict anti-fraternization or non-fraternization policy. Basically says officers and enlisted guys don't hang out. And one of the things that I struggled with early in my career was, so why can't these guys be my friends? And then over time,
same age, same age, same likes, same everything. You guys are same came from the same peer group.
Yeah, and some of these guys, they got 2 or 3 years of college, and there's really not that much difference between me and them at this point in our careers. And one of the things that became very clear to me is that if you try to be friends with the people you lead, or continue being friends in terms of a really tight social friendship, unless there's a very high degree of emotional maturity in that relationship, it's going to turn into something bad. It's going to turn into either real or perceived favoritism. So somebody's going to believe that you're playing favorites, even if you're not. It might put you in an awkward position to possibly feel like you should play favorites in some way. It can just get really messy in terms of managing that whole professional obligation you have. And so our general perspective is you probably need to transition out of hanging out on a private social level with the people that you lead for a number of practical reasons, and just managing that relationship so that you can move into a different stage of your relationship. We have some tips for how to do that in the book, and I've got some thoughts I can share on that in a minute, but I'll focus here on the concept is that you probably can't be barbecue buddies or softball buddies with the people that you lead in most situations.
Right, and I agree with you on that. And here's the interesting kind of thought with that is with the people that you lead. And most people, and just this is one man's opinion. This is just my opinion. Most people on that level, on that peer group level, cannot define the difference between friendship and business. Most leaders can define that.
Yeah.
Most leaders, because they have that talent, and it's like, hey, I've been promoted into this, and they can still define that, and or at least as a leader, because I've been there. At least we believe we can, right?
We believe we can, right?
But most people that are just in the regular, globally, people in general, it's like, well, look, man, what happened to my buddy? That's the question.
That's the challenge. Yeah, you hit it right on the head right there.
So, let me ask you. I kind of have a couple more questions. We got just under 10 minutes left, so we should be nailing it right on there. One more time for everybody listening, real quick here. You can always you'll be able to check the replay of this show on blogtalkradio.com/lead the team. Well, I guess if they're listening to it, I normally don't promote Blog Talk, and that's for the reason because they're already listening. You can check it out on leadtheteam.net. You can check out my blog there. You can check out recoverengengineer.com if you want more information on Guy Harris. I know if you Google Bud DeBoss, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot, yeah.
I think buddeboss.com is just the kind of the book launch site, right, Guy?
Well, from buddeboss.com.
Okay, I apologize. From buddeboss.com is the website there. Obviously, you can communicate with Guy through his website. You can email me if you have other questions. And like I said, the book, the actual launch date of the book is February 15th. So that's just under 2 weeks away, right, Guy?
Yeah, right around the corner. Yeah, we got a lot going on. Pretty excited. Right
around the corner. I'm sure you are, man. Like I said, I've been really excited reading through it, and so I just can't imagine. You guys are probably stoked about, especially what happens after the book is launched. It's like, man, I can exhale, but you'll only be able to do that for about 24 hours.
That's probably about right. Yeah.
So moving on, the next question I have for you is: are there any special concerns, or better yet, what are the concerns? What are the major concerns for people leading their former peers? And we've touched on some of this, but just to kind of clarify, what are the major concerns you see for people leading their peers?
Yeah, the key is managing that transition of the relationship, shifting the nature of the relationship away from the real buddy-buddy kind of relationship to more professional, and getting to your point that a lot of people have challenge making that shift, especially if they're not the leader. Managing perceptions or expectations of favoritism or special treatment is a concern that needs to be addressed. And generally, I recommend you take those head on and realize that there are some real emotional and relational transitions going on, and directly lay them out on the table and have conversations with people, with your new peers, with your boss, with your new boss, with the people you now lead, and talk about how the relationship is changing and what the expectations are on both sides. So special concerns, mostly the relational side, with regard to leading peers and the favoritism and special treatment and changing the nature of relationship, big key issues.
Absolutely. As you're talking about this, I'm actually flipping through my digital copy of your book, and one of the things you had said, you have remarkable principles, and they really are remarkable principles. It's cool because they stand right out, and like I said, it's an easy read. As I'm going through here, one of the things where it stopped, and it's kind of what you're talking about, learn to balance focus between getting results and building relationships.
Yes.
So now, when we're talking about that, let me ask you, so we've talked a lot about what the concerns are, and we say, okay, well, what's the concern? What is the actual, what would you say is the best way, or a couple of best practices to address those concerns?
Well, since these concerns we're talking about primarily are on the relational aspect, then I'd say you want to really take them head on. The big reason being that if you don't talk about them, they're just going to kind of go underground and get worse. So suggestion that Kevin and I make is go speak with people. Schedule a time to speak with each individual person that you're having this changing nature of relationship, whether it's 3 or 13, whatever the number is. Make some time to go talk with people as early as possible, and lay out what's changing, where the professional social line has to be drawn, lay out expectations, understand the concerns that they might have, and just have a frank conversation about where you've been relationally, where you're going relationally, and what this means in terms of workplace behaviors. The key phrase there is workplace behaviors, and what is or is not appropriate in terms of how we treat each other, interact with each other here at work. Key point there. So take it head on, make a time to talk, and do it fast. Let
me ask you a question, and man, that's on point. It's interesting because I made a similar point in a blog that I wrote for a friend that I forwarded on, and it was talking about the time to talk and kind of the one-on-one session, or like you're saying, it could be in a group, 3, 4, 5.
Sure.
Just in general, and I wasn't saying necessarily from the peer to management standpoint, but just any leader and manager in general, you really need to make that time to manage those workplace relationships.
Absolutely.
And let me ask you a question, especially in that transition. You made the comment, you said, okay, we'll make a time to talk. What if you're speaking with somebody and you're going from that peer group to management, one of the tactics, do you recommend that's something you do just one-on-one? Is that something you would say, okay, look, I can take my former buddy out to coffee at the coffee house in the morning and we're going to sit and talk about this? Is it something you address at work? Is it something you address with another one of your now new peers, another manager level person, or how would you approach that? How would you recommend you approach that?
Oh, that's an excellent question, and I would say that sadly the answer is it depends, and it depends what is the historical nature of the relationship. If you had more of a social kind of buddy in the coffee shop relationship, then maybe the right way to do it is to go have coffee and talk about how things are changing, and that would be the last time you do it. If you've only had a professional at work relationship, like with a new peer, former supervisor level, you're probably going to do that in the workplace. So I would say assess what your history has been and schedule a meeting that fits with where you have been historically, and then make a time to have a conversation that fits that historical context so that you can transition it into a new type of relationship. Make that kind of the break point that you may do that transition. So
you have to break up with them.
In effect, yeah. In effect, that's kind of what's happening, yeah.
No, I'm just teasing. I couldn't help it as we're sitting talking about that. So, well, hey, Guy, we've got about 2 minutes left here in the show. I'd like to say thank you very, very much for taking the time and calling in and speaking with me this evening on Reignition on Lead the Team. Like I said, I really, really look forward to your book coming out here on February 15th. One more time before we wrap up here, if you would tell everybody that's listening or everybody that will listen in the future, how do they contact you? Where can they find the book and all the links and everything else?
Sure. Well, there are my personal blog is the Recovering Engineer blog, so it's at recoverengengineer.com. If you have trouble finding that, just remember my name, Guy Harris. Google Guy Harris, and I have got like the 8 of the top 10 on the front page of Google. And for the book website is FromBudToBoss.com. And along with that, we've created an online community for new leaders, and that's the Bud to Boss community at BudToBossCommunity.com. And all 3 of those are places where you can find links back and forth and navigate your way to find information about me, about the book, about my co-author, Kevin Eichenberry, about the rest of our team. So we're really pretty excited and hope people check it out.
Absolutely. And I like I said, based on the content of the book and everything that's in there, I'm sure people will check it out. So, again, Guy, thank you very much for joining me this evening. And for everybody else, make sure and tune in next Wednesday night, 8:30. There's the lady again telling me I got 90 seconds. The applause is actually for you, Guy, not for the lady. So, again, make sure and tune in, everybody, next week where we'll have more leadership, motivation, sales training, lots of fun, and hope to see you right back here. Thank you all. Have a fantastic Wednesday evening. We'll see you 1 week from now.